attend that meeting. That is first part. Everyone should try to attend them, or we can discuss the solution with everyone. We can collect maximum requirements. So maximum industry stakeholders should attend. Next, rules established for preparation and participation. Rules should be established for the preparation and participation. Otherwise, unnecessary people will join and we will discuss something. So we need an agenda too. So agenda means agenda is mandatory for any formal review meet. Any meetings, we need an agenda. Otherwise, we will discuss something else. So a formal meeting, there is an agenda is needed. But informal part also there. Informal part means if that meeting is informal, then only we can encourage a free flow of ideas, because otherwise we will think about whether I'm speaking on within the barrier or within the boundary. I'm speaking within the boundary. We have that fear in mind. So the free flow of idea won't happen. So informal meeting means there is no particular agenda. Whatever related to the project you can discuss. So both formal and informal meeting is needed, and a facilitator control the meeting. Otherwise, there may be some misinterest. Means people may fight each other. Like, we can negotiate the things, but in a very friendly manner. We should not argue. Argument is not allowed. So a facilitator is always should be there to guide you, to guide the meeting or controlling the meeting. And the definition mechanism like Blackboard or chart or something. If you want to express your ideas, you can use any of the definition mechanisms. So these are the guidelines for review meet. Then our goal is to identify the problem and propose the solution and negotiate and create one preliminary set of solution. This is the first elicitation process. This part is called the elicitation process. Okay. Then actually first requirement gathering, in the requirement gathering inception, and the second part is elicitation. During the elicitation part, inception part, we are just ask some context-free questions and we fix the scope of the project. But when come to the elicitation, we are identifying the problem and some probable solutions we are proposing, and we can negotiate. Okay, people, different stakeholders are there. They can negotiate, and we can finalize some preliminary set of solutions. And before going to implement that, so whatever it is, the environment should be very collaborative and non-threatening. We should not scare. We should speak out like without any kind of threat, fear. We should get a space to tell our ideas. We have to speak about ideas. It may be correct or not. No need to bother, but it's your idea, right? You should get a space to share your ideas. So after that, the stakeholder writes a product request. Okay. So this is the requirement gathering phase. When the stakeholder team, when we create, it could contain all representatives from different, like marketing representative should be needed, developer representative should be needed, and hardware, software engineers and manufacturers, customers, everyone should be tried. All stakeholders should be tried to be present. Not everyone represented. Next, requirement gathering meeting begin with some steps are there. First, need and justification of new product. Without knowing that, you should not start your project. So next, participant list should be there. And participants can list out their own discussions. And that is called individual. Individually, we can present. After that, we can combine. We can combine at the time of combining all this list. At the time, you can delete, you can addition, you can do some additions, you can do some modifications anyway. And we can, but we should not criticize others. We should not criticize. We should not debate with others. You will get a chance. Negotiation is different. The negotiation is different, and debating to someone is different. Or criticizing someone is different. Okay. Negotiating means you could convince someone your stand, why you are focusing, why you are suggesting this solution. That we can negotiate with others, but you should not criticize and you should not threaten others. So individual list, then first we create individual list, then we go for the combined list of requirements. This combined list we call consensus list. In consensus list, the team after that, once we form that one, we divide into different teams that we call sub teams. Then we can work on this mini specifications. Mini specification means all the requirements are not in that. We are dividing into different teams, and those teams work on some list of specifications that are called mini specifications. And after that, this mini specifications, what we work on, that we again come up with more discussions. At the time also, we will can go for modifications. Nothing because in all this part we are analyzing, we are not finalizing the solution. Okay, so again modifications are possible. So this is called a validation list. This validation list again you can go for. You have to go for validation criteria. Means the criteria means we should check whether it match with the customer requirement or not. That is called validation process. So validation we are doing in two times, like before you create the product and after you created the product. So these are the requirement gathering meeting steps. Means how it is going to conduct in a formal way. Okay, a facilitator should be there. All stakeholders will participate, and we can freely discuss our ideas. You can use any kind of definition mechanisms to express your feelings, and not feelings, your ideas. And after that, we are creating our individual list of specifications. That's called mini specifications. And after that, we can combine and can do some modifications. And if some conflicting requirements are there, you can remove it. And people are thinking in different way, right? So all these ideas we will join together, we integrate all these ideas together, and we create the final list of requirements. That is a formal document actually, the software requirement specification document we'll create, and after that we can go for validation. So these are the steps in general. Is it clear to everyone? Is it clear? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you listening, children? Only the first hour some students will listen. Some students will listen in the middle. But before lunch break and after before tea break, so nobody is here. I think so. I feel so. So any doubts you can ask me now. Is there any doubts? Next is quality function deployment. Quality function deployment means we're collecting customer requirements, and after that we have to translate in a more technical way, because suppose if we want to implement the requirements, we should need a technical man. Technically we should. How can you implement technically? In the form of graph, chart, or some symbols. All this diagram, even UML diagrams also, it's a graphical representation. So we are translating the customer need into a more technical requirement. Okay. Anyway, our intention is to satisfy the customer. So while we are, how can you satisfy the customer? There are three types of requirements satisfaction. Is the first when you are, you have three types of requirements are there to satisfy the customer. One is normal requirement, which reflect the objective and goal. For example, um, if there is a mobile phone, you are expecting some kind of functions from that mobile. Okay, that is called as that system function. That is mandatory. If you are going to buy one mobile, you need some functions. That is called normal requirements. Expected means implicitly is there in the product. You are not no need to mention, but its absence make you uncomfortable. Means you are not satisfied with the product if it is absent, but you are not specifying those requirements. For example, you need security, safety, and correctness. This part is you're expecting that, but it may not be mentioned clearly in the requirement list. Then another one is exciting requirements. Exciting requirements is beyond customer expectation. Suppose you create one product, or else then only, for example, the same mobile phone. Some applications are exciting thing, but whether it is needed or not, maybe it's not needed to you, but you are very happy or you are excited with that particular feature. So that type of features are called exciting requirements. So definitely the exciting requirements will increase the market value. Many of the products which we are choosing from the market is based on these exciting requirements. All the mobiles which is available in the market are satisfying the minimum condition, minimum requirements. But some mobile is having more exciting requirements, so we will go for it. That is the psychology. So this is called quality function deployment. Quality is not a single word actually. Quality means you're giving a product which is very good quality product. Means main part is satisfy how to satisfy the customer. It's quality means it works well. No, not only works well. If you can add more and more functions, more and more features, the customer will be excited and definitely it will get a good marketplace. So quality function, it's called quality function deployment. Next, when we discuss about user scenario, that is the third point. User scenario means there are two-way use case diagram and user scenario means use case diagram is there and user stories are also there. User story is written in the form of document, but use case diagram means it's diagrammatical representation. So these are the user scenario. It always try to represent an end user perspective on the product. So use cases describe how the system will be used. Actually, we already done use case diagrams for ATM, point of sale, in the lab. So you know what it means, right? To understand software team, how the features and functions used by different classes of end user, developer and users can create a set of scenario that identify thread of usage. Anyway, that is the definition part, means it's defining it that, but you know, right? It's a user perspective. How can you, what is user perspective? How the features and functions are used by an end user. That is the user perspective that we are describing in user scenario. So next is elicitation work product. Work product means all these are the outcome of that particular phase. A statement of need and feasibility means a feasibility report. That is one of the outcome. And a bounded statement of scope for the system. Scope of the system you can define, and list of customers who are using that particular system. That is, and who participated in the requirement elicitation process. Okay, you will get you can create one document and description of the system technical environment. What are the hardware software requirements? And list of requirements and the domain constraints that apply to each. Many prototypes are developed to better define the requirements. Prototype is also an output of this particular phase that you can share with the developer and the user to explain the things more clearly. So all these are the outcome of that particular phase. What is the phase name? Elicitation. Elicitation is a part of requirement gathering, second phase, right? Inception and elicitation. So these are the outcome of elicitation. Okay, how many of you are listening? How many of you are attending the class? Simply, I could see many people, they did not even join with the microphone. Means only Sanjay, 11, Belon 15, 17, 18, 19, 22, 25, 26, 35, 36, 43, 44, 45, 52. These many students, they did not use the, they did not join with an audio. Means they are not listening. How many of you are listening to the class? Just raise your hands. I got Preeti, Sheshu, Kiran, Surya Satvik, Verma, Manish Reddy, Saran, all number 23, 34, 9, 39, 40, 57, 14. These are the total number of students, sir. 12 numbers out of 47. Are you understanding? The people who are listening, people did not even join with the audio. I will remove those students. What is the need of staying here? I will remove them. I just sent one request to check whether those people are there. I don't know why you people are not listening. If you listen the class, it's very easy to learn the topic. Okay. Nitin Teja is there. Okay, you can switch off your video. Are you listening? The class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then next point is negotiate the requirements. How could you negotiate the requirements? When you negotiate the requirement, you should not argue with. It's like both the customer and a developer should get a feeling of win-win. Win-win means both of them feel that I want. So that is called negotiating requirements. Actually, what a customer is negotiating for, customer is negotiating for more features within the budget and on-time delivery. When coming to a developer, he is also negotiating for more budget and the number of features implemented within the budget and the time of delivery or anything. All these things they will it's a kind of bargaining, like we call the word negotiation. So we can negotiate. Mainly time, people, and budget we can. So for negotiating, there are some rules, right? Identification of system stakeholders. First, you should identify who are the stakeholders. Then we have to fix or determine the win conditions. Then we can negotiate the stakeholders to reconcile the projected team win conditions. Means both get the feeling that I want. How is it possible? For example, when you're going to one shop, you are arguing or not arguing, you are what you call bargaining with the customer. Sorry, you are bargaining with the shopkeeper uh, to reduce the price of the product. But he's selling the product without any loss, right? But you feel that because of your bargaining skill, you got less, you got a product in less amount. So that feeling is called the win-win. For example, the shopkeeper, he's planning to sell the item in 65 rupees, but he's asking you 75 rupees. But as a customer, you're 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 doing the bargaining. You're asking for a 10 rupee reduction. Maybe you are asking for more than that, but at last maybe you're asking for 15 rupee reduction. But at last he fixed one amount, that is 10 rupee. Like again, he reached to 65. But his intention was to sell the product in 65. He will sell the product on 65. But he asked you 75. So in your mind, the product cost is 75. But you bargain with him, and because of that, he reduced the price. But both of you, the customer is happy with the value, and at the same time, the shopkeeper also, the seller also happy with the value, because both are get a feeling that I want. The same psychology you can apply, the same trick you can apply in the software also, software product also. So how to validate the requirements? Validate the requirements, we have to ask some questions like, is each requirement consistent with the objective of the system? All the requirements being specified at the proper level of abstraction. If the level of abstraction is less, what will happen? It will disclose the details and it make a lot of confusion. Next is the requirement is really necessary or not. Is each requirement bounded and ambiguous? There should not be any kind of confusion, and should not be any kind of interpretation. Different types of interpretation not be there. And does each requirement have attribution? Do any requirements conflict with the other requirements? Is each requirement achievable in system technical environment? Is it technically feasible or not? And requirements conflict means if you ask to implement two conflicting requirements at the same time, it's not possible. You can they have to argue with you to delete any one of them. Then you should explain the technical reasons to the customer. Is each requirement is testable once implemented? It should be testable. Without testing, suppose if any of the requirements is not able to test, then how could we say that the product is working properly, right? So we have to check whether the requirement are testable or not. Does the model reflect system information, function, and behavior? And has the model been appropriately partitioned? Have appropriate requirements and patterns have been used? Like these type of some random questions you have to ask to validate the requirements, to validate the analysis model. Then how can you create the analysis model? How can you build it? Analysis model actually creating different perspectives. So building an analysis model means we are creating set of models. Set of models, each and every model is a technical representation of either any one of the stakeholder, either customer or business people or the marketing people or the developer perspective. So analysis model is a technical representation. Actually, what we are doing in the analysis model, we are defining the system. We are defining the system function, properties, and behavior that we are defining during this analysis model. And the next level is architecture or designing, analysis design, and then we are going for modeling and implementation. So who will do this? Analyst or system analyst or engineers. We are representing multiple views. So if there is any error, you can modify those errors. You can remove those errors. So that's why the requirement is very important. Requirement analysis is important. Gathering and then analysis. Then what are the steps? First, create a preliminary model. Preliminary model does not cover all the features. After that, you can go for refining analysis to assess the quality, completeness, and consistency. And final model is stakeholder validation. Stakeholder should be validate the final model. Then our work product is in the form of a technical diagram like UML diagram is an example. So next, when we come to the requirement analysis, how can you analyze the model? Can you analyze the model? So in modeling time, we will discuss on what, not how. Means what you are going to implement, not how. How can you implement it? So modeling, what object does a system manipulate? What function the system perform? What behavior it exhibit? What interfaces it define? Like that, we are answering the question. We are finding out the questions, answers for what, not how. Okay. Then when it comes to overall objective and philosophy, our analysis model objective is to describe what the customer requires. Means we are describing the customer requirement for what? To establish basis for software design. Next phase is designing. But here in this analysis model, we are establishing a basis for that. We are defining requirements and that we can validate later once the software is built. And analysis model is act as a bridge between system description and design model. After analysis, we are going for design phase. But before analysis, we are collecting all the system requirements in the form of a descriptive way. So from the system description to analysis model, we are creating in more technical, graphical way. So this is a graphical thing. This is the input for the design phase. Then what are the elements of analysis model? Analysis model elements are scenario-based element, class-based, flow-oriented, and behavioral. Scenario-based means use case, user stories. It's based on the scenario. Then class-based means class and collaborative collaboration diagram. An object diagram also comes under class-based element. Flow-oriented means either flow of data or control, means data flow diagram or control flow diagram. Then behavioral are sequence and state chart diagrams. So these are the elements of analysis model. You should remember this figure. Okay, in that one we already discussed use case diagram and class diagram and object diagram also belong to class-based element. Those three we discussed. I will discuss collaboration, data flow, control flow, sequencer, and state chart diagram. Then next is analysis rule of thumb. What is analysis rule of thumb? The rules are as follows. You should remember the rules. The model mainly should focus on the business domain. If it does not have business value, you have to leave the project. So the level of abstraction must be high. Next is every element in the model helps to understand the software requirement. And at the same time, the model should focus on the information, function, and behavior. Means dynamic and static characteristics, it should focus. But our main intention of this model is to understand the software requirement. But understanding software requirement not only in one way. We have to focus on the function and behavior of the system. Next is consideration of infrastructure and non-functional model delayed in the design. Means suppose if you don't need some particular functions of your model, no need to do right now. If you don't have time, you can postpone for the next phase. So, for example, when you're creating a database for a system, we need what are the classes, what are the functions, but we don't want behavior of that system, behavior of that database. That is not metadata, it's not needed. And not initially required, but it will be needed later. So you can avoid that part, right? So you can give a delay in the design. Otherwise, it will delay the designing process. It will delay if you are considering all unwanted things. Initial phase itself, the designing phase will be late. So try to do the necessary things. Now, next is minimum coupling and maximum cohesion is our mode. Minimum coupling means it is the interconnection between different modules. That should be less. Otherwise, the dependency will be more and interdependency will be more. But intradependency, like dependency within the module, is a good thing because it can work as a standalone unit. But the dependency between the module is not suggestible because the dependency will be more. If you make any change in one module, it will affect the other module too. So the coupling should be less, try to be less, and cohesion should be maximum. So low coupling and high cohesion is recommended. Then analysis model give value to all people perception. All people requirements, we should give the same importance. Next is keep the model simple, then only we can modify easily in the next modification phase. So this is the analysis rule of thumb for analysis phase. The model focus on the requirement in business domain. We should focus on the business domain and every element in the model helps to understand the system requirement. Software requirement should not reject it. and focus on the all type of behavior of the system, function of the system, and information. Okay. Anyway, static dynamic features you should focus. That's it. And irrelevant. For example, non-functional characteristics, no need to bother right now. Can do it in the coming phases. And minimum coupling and maximum completion, and everyone should get the same priority. There is no all, whether it is customer or developer, everyone's viewpoint should get the same consideration. Okay, then it should be simple for modification. The next is domain analysis. Means domain analysis mainly focus on reusable elements. Reusable elements are very, very good because we can reduce the amount of time, effort, and even budget also. So, what you are planning to reuse, whether it is a class, object, or any subassembly or module or frameworks, whatever it is, you have to identifying the commonality is very, very important, and it is difficult. So if you want to implement some common function features or classes or patterns for reuse, you should analyze the domain. How could you analyze the domain? Domain analysis has input like technical literature. You can go through the related topics. That is technical literature. Technically related topics. You can suppose if you're going to do any modification on one existing product, you can check the similar product or the one which is related to the product which you are going to develop, modify. So that is the technical literature, means related works. What are the works already done? That literature survey you have to conduct. Then existing applications you should know, and you can go for customer survey, and you can take the expert advice and understand what is the current requirement, what are the future requirements. Okay, these all are input to your domain analysis. Once you analyze the domain, you can fix the class taxonomy and what are the reusable standards and functional models, domain language. Then you will get a class domain analysis model. That is also in the form of a model. Why we are going for domain model means if you want to modify anything, then if you this domain model will help you to find out easily the existing reusable model, reusable functions, usable functionality, usable class objects or something. For that purpose we are going for domain analysis. Next is data modeling concept. Okay, no, time is not sufficient to start the new topic. The last 3 minutes, if you have any doubt, you can ask on today's topic. Please open your mouth. No response. All of you left already?
No, ma'am. There.
Is it clear the topics which I discussed today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any doubt, you can ask me now. Any doubts, anyone? Everyone, every topic is clear. How can I believe this? How can I believe every single topic is clear to everyone? I already noticed majority of the students did not listen. Okay, I'm not asking anything to those people because they already did not listen. They did not attend the class. So there is no logic to ask something like, did you get anything? No, of course, the answer is no. What about the people who listen to the class? Is the topic is clear? If you don't have any doubt, I will wind up the session. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.